This is Journey with Care, the official podcast of Care Impact. Johan here, and today I will be your guide. Welcome to the special series, A Care Impact Christmas, where we celebrate the joy of the Christmas season. As the snow falls outside and the warmth of the holiday spirit fills our hearts, we invite you to gather your closest loved ones, your kids, grandkids, friends, or family. Get cozy by the fire, or snuggle up with a blanket and a cup of hot cocoa, and get ready for something truly special. Today we invite you to journey with us through a series of short stories that capture the essence of Christmas. These tales are filled with warmth, care, and loving generosity. So take a sip of that rich hot cocoa, nestle into your favorite spot, and let the glow of the firelight, or simply of your Bluetooth speaker, bring our stories to life. Welcome back to our 6 Tales of Christmas. This is no ordinary holiday story. It's a mic drop moment that echoes far beyond the season. Join us as we meet Listening Mike, a microphone tuned to amplify untold stories, turning brave whispers into transformation. From silent struggles to courageous life journeys, these moments show the power of one voice to inspire change. So open up your hearts, turn up the volume, and get ready for the case of the mic drop. Amid the twinkling lights and bustling festivities, there stood a mysterious installation like no other. A cozy, warmly lit booth, blanketed in snowflakes and adorned in holly. Let's step closer, shall we, and have a look. There it is, a shiny microphone sitting poised and ready with anticipation. This wasn't just any microphone. It was Listening Mike, a microphone with a gift for hearing people's stories and helping others listen up with empathy and greater understanding. One thing you need to know about Listening Mike is that he was notorious for doing something peculiar. Every time a person spoke a poignant truth or heart-softening story into his foamy head, he simply couldn't stand there. Listening Mike would suddenly drop. And when listeners heard the mic drop, it echoed throughout the land, and something peculiar would happen with them too. Yes, with every mic drop, they felt waves of empathy they'd never felt before, shocks of truth they've never experienced, and their vision somehow became clearer and clearer with every mic drop moment. Word had spread about Listening Mike. The more people spoke into it, the more they felt heard by others. And the more people listened, the more hearts and minds were increasingly becoming compassionate and wise. On Christmas Eve, as the town bustled with festive cheer, Listening Mike stood patiently in his booth, its golden diaphragm thrumming with anticipation. It listened to the distant sounds of laughter, carols, and chatter, yearning to capture those untold stories. Suddenly, a hush fell over the booth as a small figure emerged from the crowd, glancing in Listening Mike's direction. A tired single mother named Sarah stepped into the booth, her eyes filled with weariness and worry. She hesitated before Listening Mike, intimidated by its silent presence. Who would want to listen to my story? She wondered, her heart heavy with the weight of her responsibilities. Listening Mike softly whispered, "Your story matters." So Sarah took a deep breath and began to speak. Her voice trembling at first, then gaining strength as she shared her experiences. Listening Mike listened intently, its golden diaphragm sending the story out into the streets. Sarah's story flowed through Listening Mike, out into the community, reaching the ears of those who had never considered the struggles of a single mother. And then it happened. The mic dropped to the ground and the people's hearts softened, eyes opened, and a wave of empathy swept through the town. People began to see the single parents in their lives in a new light, recognizing the immense challenges they faced and the incredible resilience they demonstrated. A community-wide initiative was launched to provide support for single-parent families, offering childcare services, financial aid, and emotional support groups. The next person to approach Listening Mike was a young man named Alex, a child who had aged out of the foster care system. He had felt invisible for so long, his story of trauma and racism lost in the echoes of a broken system and a busy town. Who would care about the story of a kid like me, he thought, feeling a familiar pang of loneliness. But as he stood before Listening Mike, a sense of empowerment washed over him. He spoke of his experiences, his voice filled with both pain and resilience. And then it happened. The mic dropped to the ground. Alex's story resonated throughout the community, shattering stereotypes and preconceived notions. People began to see him not as a statistic, but as a human being with a story to tell, transforming indifference into understanding. The community rallied around its youth, establishing mentorship programs, offering job training opportunities, and creating safe spaces for young people to connect and thrive. And then came an exhausted social worker named Emily, stepping into the booth. Her spirit weary from the weight of her caseload. She had witnessed so much pain, so many struggles that she nearly lost all hope. Who would have the time and energy to listen to my tired voice? She wondered, her shoulders slumping with the weight of the world. But as she stood before Listening Mike, a spark reignited within her. She shared her experiences, her voice filled with both compassion and frustration. And then it happened. The mic dropped to the ground. Emily's story echoed through the community, reminding people of the tireless efforts of those who work on the front lines of social services. It sparked a conversation about the need for greater support, for systematic change, for a more compassionate approach to those in need. The community responded by organizing volunteer programs, donating resources to social service agencies, and advocating for policies that would better support those who dedicated their lives to helping others. Then emerging from the shadows was a middle-aged man named John, who apprehensively eyed the booth and was inching his way closer. Would he dare speak out loud about his struggles and experiences? He was a church-going man, and this was not something he was accustomed to comfortably sharing within the faith community. He'd been carrying his pain for years, and yet God had been at work. What would others think? Or could this be the invitation he'd been waiting for? But as he stood before Listening Mike, a sense of liberation washed over him. He spoke of his struggles and experiences, his voice filled with both vulnerability and strength. And then it happened. The mic dropped to the ground. John's story touched the hearts of the community, breaking down stigmas and fostering deeper understanding about God. Others began to reach out to offer support, to share their own stories of healing and talk about faith matters not often talked about from the pulpit. The microphone had become a beacon of hope, illuminating conversations just waiting to burst throughout the faith community. Churches were becoming safer places to speak up. Programs and services were changing, and people were finding healing and recovery. A stillness fell over the town square, after each mic drop moment continued to echo across the land. The echoes of Sarah's struggle, Alex's resilience, Emily's weariness, and John's pain hung in the air, mingling with the twinkling Christmas lights. It was as if the entire community held its breath, collectively bearing witness to the vulnerability and strength woven into their words. Something was shifting. Hearts were opening, perspectives broadening, and a newfound sense of unity was emerging. Listening Mike now stood as a symbol of shared humanity, its presence a testament of the power of listening and the courage to speak. As Christmas Day dawned, the community was being transformed. Listening Mike's presence had sparked waves of empathy and connection, reminding everyone of the power of sharing their stories and listening to the stories of others. Community organizations and churches opened their doors wider than ever before, offering love and support to those in need. The true spirit of Christmas had come alive, not in the presents or decorations, but in the empathy and compassion that flowed through the community. And so, dear listeners, as we gather around our Christmas trees and share the stories with loved ones, let us remember the voices that often go unspoken. Could it be that if given the chance to be heard, these voices could cause a mic drop moment for you and across your community?
This Christmas, you can help create mic drop moments by amplifying inspiring voices and honest conversations all across Canada. Did you know that there have been over 16,000 downloads already of our Journey with Care podcast? Listeners are being impacted and new conversations are unfolding and hearts are becoming more compassionate because of it. All because brave, unheard voices are speaking up. There are many more voices waiting to share their stories and many more listeners who could forever be impacted by hearing their insights. For just $250, you can help sponsor a mic drop moment on our weekly Journey with Care podcast. Each mic drop moment that you gift to one of your loved ones sponsors one powerful weekly episode to send waves of compassion and insight for years to come. Boom! Go to careimpactchristmas.com and let's hear the mic drop all across Canada. careimpactchristmas.com.